Former Abercrombie and Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries and two others were arrested as part of an FBI criminal sex trafficking investigation. Jeffries, along with his romantic partner and another associate, are accused of operating a sex trafficking and prostitution business.
And here to discuss this, ABC News contributor Brian Buckmire and senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky. Gentlemen, good to see you guys. So, Brian, we'll start with you. Jeffries was CEO of the company from 1992 to 2014. Walk us through these accusations.
So before I do that, I'm told I got to give a bit of a disclaimer. So I did work for Hollister Abercrombie's sister company during high school. So it's about 2004, 2005 to 2008. Never saw any of these allegations, never saw anything like this. I was quote unquote a model and did participate in some of the activities there. But to walk you through the allegations, we're talking about a 16-count indictment, one sex trafficking count, and then 15 other interstate prostitution charges for each and every one of those alleged victims in this case. And what they're alleging here is that through the power and influence of Mike Jeffries, the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, his romantic partner and a quote unquote recruiter, they basically went out there, the recruiter, and found male individuals who had the promise of a modeling career or working at Abercrombie or other enterprises, and said, if you do X, Y, and Z, we'll get you that career. But they were lured into situations where they were given poppers, given Viagra, sexually assaulted in various ways, and then forced to sign NDAs and remain silent. And so now the Eastern District of New York is pursuing charges against these three men.
Aaron, Abercrombie is declining to comment, but I'm curious what the lawyers for these three accused men are now saying.
Not much. They say they will respond in court, not in the media, but federal prosecutors are certainly talking about the case because they see it as the latest example of taking aim at the rich and powerful who they say for too long have preyed on young people who have nothing except a dream, whether it's to make it big in the modeling and fashion industry or entertainment or music, and that makes them vulnerable and it makes them fall victim to these powerful men. And they say this has gone on for far too long, and we've seen many recent examples where prosecutors are trying to hold these people to account.
Brian, you say this case may end up being a Pandora's box. Why?
So I look at it from a number of aspects. The type of charge, the organization that was Hollister, and then just a numbers game. When it comes to the type of charge, even though they're not being charged with RICO conspiracy, we kind of talked about this briefly, the entire indictment talks about there being an organization of individuals to facilitate these sex events. People who would fly individuals to the location, clean up, set up, keeping people within that location so they couldn't escape. I think it's a Pandora's box because once you start digging, we're going to start getting more and more names. I'm a defense attorney here in the Southern District of New York as well as the Eastern District of New York, and I'm thinking to myself, who's going to start ringing my phone to say, hey, I might be involved in one way, shape, or form, but I needed a defense attorney. Also, look at other cases like we talked about with Sean Combs or R. Kelly, where an indictment is dropped and then we start hearing case after case, alleged victim after victim, and then it opens up to even more. And then just think about Hollister and how Abercrombie operated. If this happened with 15 individuals from December of 2008 to March of 2015, I can't imagine that's only 15 people, what, an average of 2 people a year for this whole organization? I've got to assume, and I think also the EDNY does, is that there are potential other victims out there as well.
Aaron, this comes about a year after a civil lawsuit alleging very similar type of things was brought, which Jeffries has denied. What's the status of that civil case, and how did that affect these federal charges?
Jeffries and Abercrombie, which is named in the civil lawsuit, not the criminal case, are trying to get it dismissed. But if it weren't for the plaintiffs in that case coming forward, there wouldn't be any criminal charges. Prosecutors were fairly square about that. And they said they believe there are dozens more young men who are out there who had something similar happen to them. And they urged these men to come forward. They say, we will listen and we will help. And more charges could be coming against Jeffries and the others if they do come forward and if their stories can be corroborated.
Aaron Katersky, Brian Buckmire, thank you both.